Hey everyone, how are you? Happy Wednesday. It's been a crazy, actually, like a crazy month of wild weather all over the country. It's crazy. This morning we actually, where I'm at, we got another storm. It didn't last very long, maybe 20 minutes, and now the sun's out. But the people west of where I'm at, and where it was confirmed there was a tornado in Canandaigua, and I don't know about Rome yet, but we do have the governor did do a press conference this morning, so we are going to listen to that. The storms are actually moving east right now, and I don't know if Glow is still here, but if you are, I have our local news here in Albany has a YouTube live going where they're talking about the storms. And they had a time, like the time thing of when storms are going to be in certain places. So I was going to just show you. Oh, you're here. Okay, so actually, let me just add this real quick, just so you can get an idea. So this is now. Well, how long ago did they do this? Yeah, 5 minutes ago. Or not 5 minutes ago. That's the video. This was 6 minutes ago. So about 10 minutes ago, this video was done. So I'm not sure where you are in relation to this, but these are the storms going through now. It's just insane. And then this is zoomed out. But again, later today, it's supposed to be really bad. I don't think we're supposed to get anything horrible, but it's a little wild. It's a little wild. So I just wanted to show you that quick because I had been watching that before I went live. Because I'm like, oh no, here we go again. Northeast. Okay. And that's more like central-ish. Hey MK, how are you? Yeah, it's just crazy the amount. Like, I don't remember, I didn't get a tornado, like a shelter in place warning yesterday, but my sister did, and she was at work and they got a seek shelter immediately. We've gotten three this spring/summer. That's never happened in the 46 years I've lived here. It's just the weather is wild, and the humidity is just atrocious. So hey Oki, I don't know if Oki's still here, but thanks for stopping in. K-Braze, thanks for stopping in. So Glow, was it really bad yesterday where you're at too? Because not only west, so out by, so again, I had said, Canandaigua and Rome, New York, which is near Utica, which is, I would say, like halfway between Albany and Syracuse, if you know direction. Maybe not exactly halfway, but. And then north in the Adirondacks near the Sacandaga Lake, in one of those places, it was really bad. I mean, it was bad everywhere, but some places just, happen to get it really bad. Oh, you didn't get anything yesterday. Wow. So they must have just missed you, which I guess was good because it was wild for sure. Hey Pookie, how are you? MK, I hope work is going well. Sinner, thanks for being here. Hey Ava, how are you? We get them in Ohio, but this year we have gotten more than any state in the country, and we're not even considered Tornado Alley. It's insane. Yeah, and then I saw, because I'm only going to really focus on the New York weather from yesterday, but Canada extreme flooding. They also had talked about, I think they had said Illinois got hit really bad yesterday as well. I don't remember the exact state, but it just seems like, it's just happening in places it doesn't normally happen. Hey, Bernadette, tons of people around my area still without power and impassable roads. We got lucky on my road, but others in town are in the dark still. My sister actually also lost power yesterday, and she's just across the river, but she didn't have power. So my niece and nephew stayed at my parents' house, and I didn't lose power. My lights were flickering during the storm, but thankfully my parents and I didn't lose power. But my parents did lose internet. So it was bizarre. But I know there's still a lot of people without power, and especially out west. I have friends who live out there, and I did get a hold of my one friend from college, and she said thankfully they didn't have any severe damage, just a lot of trees down, power lines down, more like outside damage. But the downtown is what got hit really hard. I had seen, I'm watching the local news coverage, and they had photos of, in Rome, New York, a car had been flipped upside down. There is going to be video. There was I think it was a Volkswagen dealer had two sets of power lines fall, and several cars caught on fire. It's craziness. Oh no, Pookie, you're on the way to the vet. Is it about the little babies and their belly issues? I hope everything's okay with the beanies. Finally got your Wi-Fi fixed. Perfect. I saw that too, Bernadette. Visible meteor in New York City and Connecticut yesterday. I saw that too. Like, it's just all these things happening. Yeah, for sure. Definitely be vigilant. I agree. So we are going to start with just a quick recap, and then the press conference is about 30 minutes, and I haven't watched it yet. Oh, sorry. I did not mean to make that loud noise. Sorry. I just lost my train. I have not watched the whole thing, so I'm not sure what information specifically was shared. Hopefully we will learn more about, what ratings the tornadoes actually were, if they were tornadoes, because I know I even had friends posting pictures on Facebook yesterday, and the clouds it looked like a tornado, but they were just like those, I think they're called shelf clouds, that make it look like a tornado, but it's not actually a tornado. So, but some of the images are just, and actually I might pull up Facebook, because there was one person, I don't know who they are, but they had stopped on the side of a country road and taken photos of the storm coming in. It was spectacular, for lack of a better word.
That breaking news, from sweltering heat to damaging storms, severe weather is now impacting millions of Americans tonight. Ryan Smith standing by at the live desk with what is the latest on a potential tornado touchdown, Ryan.
Yeah, breaking just moments ago, all of New York State now under a state of emergency as deadly storms moved right across the region tonight, now killing at least one person. The governor there now deploying extra resources to counties with the most damage, urging people to seek safe shelter. Brand new video here out of Rome, New York tonight, where officials there say a possible tornado touchdown, destroying several buildings and toppled over trees and power lines. Officials now warning people there.
And so just this image itself. So now that, to me, the photo on the left, that looks like a tornado. You have like that, the funnel cloud, and that, to me, I would be like, oh my God, it's a tornado. It may not have been, but to me, it definitely looked like a tornado. So actually, I'm going to pull a map up just so everyone can get a sense of where Rome, New York is. All right, so this map, let me just move this out of the way. So this again is Western New York. And so you have Rochester and then Syracuse. Utica is here. And it's always referred to as the Utica-Rome area. So Utica-Rome School District, which they are no longer Utica-Rome, but it's very close to Utica. So if you have that. And then Canandaigua, not exactly sure where that is. I think that's by Buffalo. There we go, Canandaigua. Okay, so it's south of Rochester. So Canandaigua had a tornado, and then Rome, which is not far. They're actually, yeah, not far from there. Oh no, Pookie. Oh no. I hope it's just shock and not anything serious.
To stay off of the roadways tonight. Now, this right here, what you're about to see is out of Glyn Falls, New York, a possible tornado leaving behind widespread damage in that community. The city.
Okay, and I haven't heard any, let me just get rid of this closed captioning for a second. So, I mean, that looks like a tornado to me. Again, it's not, it's just a still photo. It's not, a video. But, I mean, that looks like a tornado. But it could just be a low cloud.
They're declaring their own state of emergency, then shut down multiple roads due to flooding and down power lines. At last check, more than 100,000 people across the state remain without power. Severe storms will be moving farther south, impacting major cities tomorrow, including Baltimore and Washington, D.C.
Oh, and I didn't mean for him to get cut off. So this next one is the press conference. Again, this just happened about an hour and a half ago before I went live. And I will say the volume for this press conference is perfect. That is our governor.
Good morning.
Governor Hochul.
I'm Governor Kathy Hochul on what can only be described as a tragic day here in Oneida County in the city of Rome. I'm joined by the county executive, Tony Pacenti, who I've worked with through many crises, but this is the worst event to ever hit the city of Rome in its long 228-year history. Also,
yes, that is a church that lost its steeple, and also the roof was tore off. I do have an article that we'll look at towards the end that has pictures of different places around the area.
Mayor, who's fairly new on the job, but is now seasoned in dealing with disasters, that is our mayor, Jeffrey Lanigan. I spoke to both individuals literally minutes after the tornado, if that's how it's going to be categorized, and I cannot imagine it'll be called anything else, but the National Weather Service has to do their official designation, but let's say it's a tornado. We were in communication instantaneously. I just toured the downtown with my commissioners. We have the head of the DOT, the head of the Public Service Commission, our representation from Homeland Security. We have state police, our superintendent has joined us. We have so many individuals from state fire police. Everybody you can think of is on the ground here. We toured this community, but first I will say, as I was landing, coming in from New York City to make sure I was here, you cannot imagine the impact of seeing from the sky how vast the destruction is. When you see entire swaths of trees just collapsed like they were toothpicks. And then houses, the roofs gone. Churches, St. Mary's, which had been here since the late 1800s, a fixture in our community. And then you get on the ground. We landed at Griffiths. If you want to know the power of this tornado, take note of the fact that a B-52 bomber was tipped on its side. That weighs 183,000 pounds. That's the ferocity of the storm that ravaged this community.
And it was estimated, it was confirmed yesterday that the highest wind speed in Rome, New York was just under 80 miles per hour. It was like 79.4, according to the local news. So that's pretty strong wind. And I did want to just interrupt Governor Hochul for a moment because I just looked, the National Weather Service did confirm that a tornado hit Rome, New York. And that was as of about 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to just show some of these pictures too while we're, okay, oh, hang on a second. I thought I could make them bigger, but I guess, oh, there we go. Or not. What is happening? How do I, there's no arrows. How do I, oh, here we go. My bad. Oh my God. Okay. So here is, this camper got toppled. Oh my gosh. We got some power lines. Oh my God. It's crazy. Okay, so they do have captions too. So this was Erie Boulevard in Rome, New York. I want to make these bigger, but I can't. Here we have a woman pushes a stroller near Erie Boulevard in Rome, New York. So again, that is downtown. And as I had said at the start of this live, a friend of mine who lives in Rome said the downtown area is what got hit the most severely. Here we have some home damage. And there's the church steeple. An aerial view of First Presbyterian Church, which sustained damage from the storm in Rome, New York. And you can see even, just around, just roofs taken off, trees on houses. Wow. That is quite the view right there. Oh, and here's an even more interesting view. Here we have, that looks like a pedestrian box maybe. Yeah, that's actually, because it looks like the shape of that. Here's another building. It's like an abandoned building. Another view of the church, which is where the governor and others are standing for this press conference. Mangled street lights. Oh, goodness. A brick wall on West Dominic Street was blown down and many of the bricks landed on cars in front of the building. This car caught fire after being hit by the bricks. Good grief. A large section of metal roof torn from a building was wrapped around a utility pole. Here is Gary Colmy, owner of Gary's Indoor Garden Supply, stands at the shattered glass door of his shop on West Dominic Street. Quote, all hell broke loose. Holy crap. A car on West Dominic Street was damaged by boards ripped off nearby buildings. Holy crap. Sorry, and I just realized I was on top messages and not. All messages. The glass above the door of the former St. Mary's Church in Rome was blown out by the winds. And that is the church that I believe Governor Hochul had been talking about before I interrupted her. Here is First Presbyterian Church. Here is, oh my gosh, just huge uprooted oak tree. Another photo of the church. More trees down. This, residents assess storm damage a day after powerful winds. Oh my gosh. I'm wondering if this is the building where the bricks fell on those cars. But again, it doesn't say. First responders remove debris. Cecilia Briggs, who lives in an apartment on West Embargo Street, points to the damaged chapel of the First Presbyterian Church. She said the debris from the church knocked down her fence, but didn't damage her RV or car. Oh yeah, she's kind of like just across the street from there. Oh, and that's it. All right, so we're going to go back to the press conference.
Devastation unleashed by Mother Nature over the past 24 hours, as I said, is the worst natural disaster in the history of this community. What is so miraculous, so incredibly miraculous, that in this city of Rome, barely a block not affected, no loss of life. It was close for people. We saw a building where a new chiropractic office just opened last August, all excited, converting the old church property into new life, businesses. You look up and you see a room that is absolutely obliterated. The ceiling collapsed. It just looks like a war zone. And then you learn that there were 2 children who had been sitting in the waiting room, waiting for their mom to arrive, who escaped unharmed. If that's not the hand of God protecting the people of this city, then I don't know what is. So we're grateful that people are survived the experience, especially those who had been in the Georgian towers. Senior citizens, that's their home. The top floor, the 7th floor collapses. And people walked out and are now being taken care of over in Utica. So those are just some of the reflections of walking for a short trip down to this community. It says to me this is a community built on resiliency and a toughness and a can-do spirit, as I talk to countless business owners who promise to rebuild. But also for our government workers, displaced, our Office of Mental Health, people of our neediest in the community had walked into these buildings getting services that were so essential for them, seriously damaged. It'll be months, if not years, before they can be restored. The county offices, you'll hear from the county executive, the social services, all the basic services that we give to our people to help them get through life are now damaged and compromised. But we were committed to doing whatever it takes to rebuild these services, these communities, the buildings. Because in a moment of crisis, what I saw is so clearly evident here this morning, in a moment of crisis, New Yorkers always unite. We come together. And so I want to thank my state partners as well. Senator Joe Griffo, once the mayor of this community. This hits personally for him. Assembly Member Marianne Buttonshon, who has been speaking to me about how we can continue providing services to the neediest of this community, because there is need. I met with one family who lived in an RV. The mom, daughter, son, son-in-law, and a 1-year-old. The RV was just knocked right over. They ran for their lives. They are in need of services. So to this community, we'll not abandon you. We'll continue to bring the resources from the state of New York, now and for as long as it takes. So who's on the ground here? I brought the best. I have the most experienced team.
Hi, Happy Watcher. Thanks for being here. This is in Rome, New York, which, let me get my map again. So here is upstate New York. You have Syracuse right here. And then Rome, New York is here. And then where did Canandaigua go? Canandaigua was over here somewhere. Here, Canandaigua. So Canandaigua had got hit very hard, and also Rome, New York, which is, it's probably about 30 minutes east of Syracuse. And I had just looked for the church so I'd have a better idea of where the most damage was. Oops, wrong one.
You've been through so many disasters. I've been governor less than 3 years. I've had to deal with more historic nature events, cataclysmic extreme weather events than probably anybody in history. You know, hurricanes, tornadoes. Remember last week there were 42 tornado warnings from Jamestown up to Plattsburgh. Never before in our state's history have we had that scale of impacts from Mother Nature. So the point is, my team is experienced. They're the best. Director of State Operations, Catherine Garcia, is here. Came up with me this morning. She understands disasters like no other. Our State Police Superintendent, Stephen James, been at my side through many of these crises. DOT Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez. First thing she did was make sure that we could clear our streets, manage the damage, make sure that our generators were there to make sure that our streets are managed in a safe way. Public Service Chair Roy Christian is joined us here to make sure the utilities do their job, speaking to them nonstop, getting the power back on. And we've gone statewide from over 300,000 without power yesterday to about 100,000 today, about 20,000 here in this county. But this is an urgent situation. When the heat is as hot as it is right now, people need their power back on. So we are focused intensely on making sure that happens as soon as humanly possible. Peter Cicchetti, the Executive Deputy Director, Homeland Security, representing Jackie Bray, who's an incredible individual who's managed crises with me as well. To all the men and women at the Emergency Operations Center at Griffith Air Force Base, you need to see this. This is a military operation like no other. State, local, city, county, all working together as if they've been trained together since the very beginning. A beautiful synergy that's all working to build up this community and make sure people are safe. Working around the clock to monitor the conditions. The reason we're still monitoring, hate to break the news, it's not over yet. Weather conditions that created this devastation here in Rome are still in the air above New York. There's potential for tonight to also be another devastating experience. For that reason, I declared a state of emergency for the entire state of New York as we face another period of tornadoes, high winds, thunderstorms, and whatever else Mother Nature throws our way. So let's start with what we see here on the ground in Rome. I'm sure most of you will never forget this, but at 3:27 p.m. yesterday, high winds touched down here in Rome and all the way out to Canastota. And I spoke to the county chairman, Madison, and the mayor of Canastota and offered all of our support for them as well. We also had 3 other tornadoes touch down, Warren County, Hamilton counties as well. Well, let's talk about Rome since we're here. 22 buildings, major structural damage, 4 entirely destroyed. As I mentioned, the 7th floor of the Georgian Tower collapsed. The building next to our Office of Mental Health is now unsafe to enter. And as you see behind us, the steeple blowing off the church, St. Mary's, the First Presbyterian, lost part of its roof. Over in the village of Canastota, tragically, there was loss of life. An 82-year-old man, Robert Popple, still determining the specifics, but a neighbor reports he was out trying to check on his antique car outside and was swept away. Let's just recognize this 82-year-old who just was out there living life as one does and unexpectedly swept from us. Let's honor him in a moment of silence. Mm-hmm. Thank you. So in Canastota, 3 homes collapsed, 30 structures damaged, Red Cross.
And so again, there was 1 confirmed fatality from these storms.
Also has a shelter there as well. Now, I don't want to bring bad news back, but we also came through Lewis County just a few days ago. Serious flash flooding, 7 inches of rainfall in the village of Lowville. And
Wow.
State personnel have been on the ground for a week there. If you're ready for this as well, the Canadian wildfires are back. As you recall, last June, Syracuse and the city of New York had the worst air quality on the planet for a period of days because of the smoke coming from the Canadian wildfires in Quebec. We just received reports that is starting. We're not expecting air quality to be that compromised over this next week, but I want everybody to be ready for this. Be ready for this. We'll get out more warnings on what people need to do to prepare. So we to deal with this, my team's on the ground. I also said we need more help. We need help with cleanup. We need help with the people. So as of now, I've deployed 50 National Guard to continue with the storm response. They'll help remove debris from public areas and provide assistance as necessary. We also need the money, right? We need money to rebuild. I spoke with Majority Leader of the United States Senate, Chuck Schumer, and our Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Both of them have committed any assistance we need with FEMA. But as you know, we first must calculate the scale of the damage. It has to exceed $37 million in public damage, meaning to roads, bridges, infrastructure, public buildings, libraries, schools, offices. Once that is calculated, we can put in a request and ask for a declaration of disaster from the federal government. So the White House is aware. I've already reached out to them. FEMA has been notified as well. So I've spoken to our leadership team in Washington, and they're ready to assist. So at the state level, we do have some discretionary funds for capital work like roadway repairs if the federal dollars are not sufficient. Our Office of Faith and Nonprofit Services has money to help with churches and religious institutions. And what's really important for those who are trying to figure out how to manage the whole idea of getting insurance coverage for their properties and their homes. The Department of Financial Services is deploying their disaster strike team, and they'll literally set up a trailer people can walk up to. I've seen it many times, that they can get assistance on how to file their claims. So we'll be there for them as well. So we still have our Emergency Operations Center operational right now. We have our incident management team. We have our Office of Fire Prevention. We have our canine search and rescue teams, countless individuals, even just all the debris that's on the streets. The streets look good. That's because teams descended quickly, and we call send in the equipment to cut trees and clear debris. And I continue to have the public service with utility workers ready, 5,000 people deployed. So I'm ready to wrap up, but there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here. And as I said to the mayor and the county executive many times, whatever you need, we're here to help. We're not abandoning you. And as I said, starting tonight, severe weather storms are expected again, extending here in Rome all the way across the eastern half of the New York. And the highest risk is the capital region to Long Island. More trees coming down, more wires down, localized flash flooding, and it's going to be very hot. Much of the state is now covered in 90-degree weather. It feels like 100. Some parts of our state are going to feel like 105 degrees. Good news is we expect this weather condition to break sometime tomorrow, so continue monitoring the situation as well. So almost exactly 1 year ago, I stood at a podium like this, 200 miles away in a community called Highland Falls. They had just experienced what was defined as a 1,000-year flooding event. Destroyed the downtown, water raged through as if there were no streets, it was all part of the river. As I said on that day, and I've been saying since I became governor, these extreme weather events are no longer the abnormal. They are the new normal. And so this summer, as we're experiencing historically early heat wave, the most ever tornado warnings, and now this horrific event in the Mohawk Valley, this is going to be what we're going to expect from here on out. But we're ready, we're prepared. The state of New York will not abandon our communities. So as I look around, I just want to say again, I'm so grateful for the partnership that we have with our local officials. It means everything, and hopefully inspires the confidence of a community that has been struck with a disaster that they never could have imagined. But we will rebuild, we will come back, and we will be stronger. With that, I'd like to turn it over to County Executive Tony Picente.
Thank you, Governor.
Okay, and I am going to stop it there just for time purposes. I wanted to move to the one article that I had talked about earlier, but didn't actually read. So again, this is from Syracuse.com. National Weather Service confirms tornado hit Rome. And again, Governor Hochul had said they believe several had touched down, but as of now, there's only been, what I've seen is this one. So the National Weather Service has confirmed that a tornado touched down in Rome during storms on Tuesday. A survey team from the Weather Service went to Rome Wednesday morning. Around 11:15 a.m., the service issued a report confirming a tornado touchdown in the city around 3:25 p.m. The survey is ongoing, and more information is expected to be released around 8 p.m. It is likely there were several tornadoes, Fox weather meteorologist Ian Oliver said. That's based on radar images during the storm. Oliver tracked the storm live on TV when it happened. The weather ripped off roofs, took out power to thousands across central New York, with the most damage in Oneida County. The storm killed an 82-year-old man in Madison County. It was pretty obvious, he said. On top of the radar, you could see some very well-formed rotation, and at the time, we were looking at debris balls. Debris balls are exactly what they sound like, airborne clusters of debris. They're indicative of a tornado. Oliver said it is likely there were more than one tornado, but that call is ultimately up to the National Weather Service. So here it says tornado damage in downtown Rome, New York. Several iconic buildings in downtown Rome suffered extensive damage when a tornado tore through the area Tuesday afternoon. So St. Mary's Church, again, is where the press conference was being held. First Presbyterian Church. You have the oil service station, Georgian Arms Apartments, Cinema Capitol, and Paul Revere Mural. And it says Grand Union, which I haven't heard of Grand Union in a long time. That is a grocery store. Grand Union. The storm formed because of a derecho that started in the Midwest. A derecho is a long-lasting, damaging wind. Interesting. I didn't know that. Chicago was hit with winds and tornado warnings with high gusts felt even at the airport. That storm maintained its energy and moved into New York, where it fed on the high heat and humidity the region has had lately. The above-average heat and humidity have created instability, which breeds thunderstorms. This has led to a record number of tornado warnings. And I had actually said that at the start. This is the first time I remember. I mean, we've had 3 this year. 2, at least for me, where I've had to go into my basement. If you look at the number of tornado warnings that were issued by the National Weather Service, and that data only goes back a few decades, but 2 of the top 10 days are in the past week, which is crazy. The number 1 overall day in New York was last Wednesday with 42 warnings. The warnings came from storms that were the remnants of Hurricane Beryl. Yesterday, 10 warnings were issued. It's tied for the 6th most in a single day. It's been a rough run across New York State this past week. If you're sick of the storms, you have to hold on for a little bit longer. We do have a renewed severe weather threat again today for the afternoon and evening. Just got to hang in there for 24 hours more. All right. And just looking here, National Grid. It could be days to restore power to Rome area. Oh, what is this? I could not outrun it. Me. Oh, let's take a look at this. This is kind of going off my plan, but I could not outrun it. Rome starts long recovery after winds flatten upstate New York City. Just minutes before a powerful storm began ravaging the streets of downtown Rome, Joey Long of Taberg noticed the shift in weather as he was on the return trip of a DoorDash delivery. He decided to pull over in the parking lot of the Grand Union grocery store on Erie Boulevard West to wait out the Tuesday afternoon storm. I could tell what the formation was, and I was a little concerned about it because it was coming in fast. But there was nothing I could do. I could not outrun it. I couldn't. I just had to wait it out. He sat in his truck and tried to FaceTime his wife. Then the truck started to lift off the ground. And it lifted me about a foot off the ground or so. I thought I was going to flip my truck, but then it grabbed a hold of the front end and spun it. It did like a 360 and ended up 4 parking spots away from where I parked. Tornado force winds reached 79 miles per hour near Griffiths Airfield at about 3:35 p.m. Tuesday. Those winds swept through much of Rome, hitting parts of downtown along George and Liberty Streets hard. A home for seniors lost its windows in a wall and was closed. A former Sears gas station, a focal point of the city, was destroyed. The city's iconic mural of a man riding a horse painted on a brick wall, known as the Paul Revere mural, crumbled. On Tuesday, local officials called it a tornado, even though the National Weather Service had yet to confirm it. On Wednesday, weather officials did, though they were still measuring the strength of the funnel. As the morning wore on, the whine of chainsaws and generators filled the air. State troopers directed traffic on major intersections because the traffic lights are out and dangling from the wires. Street light poles were torn from their bases and lay entangled with downed trees. Many sidewalks remain impassable, blocked by fallen trees. Utility lines lie in the ground and across walkways. The first thing Cecilia Briggs noticed Tuesday afternoon were the acoustic ceiling tiles in her ceiling shaking. Then they began falling to the floor of her living room. That's when I started freaking out. I called my cousin and I'm like, the whole ceiling is going to collapse and I think it's going to fall on me. It didn't. The storm passed and Briggs emerged unscathed. And again, here is the photo of St. Mary's Church. That's when she saw the debris from the First Presbyterian Church, which sits across the parking lot from her apartment. The steeple had been sheared off, and the large sections of the roof had been ripped away by the wind, trusses open to the gray sky. Okay, so this says this is First Presbyterian, but but it looks like St. Mary's. It says that's when she saw the debris from the First Presbyterian Church, which sits across the parking lot from her apartment. The steeple had been sheared off and the large sections of the roof had been ripped away by the wind, trusses open to the gray sky. The debris from the church had knocked down the wooden fence next to Briggs' apartment, but had left her RV and car untouched. She attributed that to divine intervention. I just felt that he's telling me when you ask, you receive. Lonnie Young lives on the first floor of a 2-story home on George Street, right in the path of the destruction. His daughter, 32, and 2 grandchildren, 6 and 4, live on the top floor. On Tuesday afternoon, he was walking his dog in front of his house. He said a metal rod flew right past his head and pierced a tree just a foot or two away from where he was standing. The wind ripped off his roof and blew out his windows. My gosh, so he's walking his dog. I would assume, I mean, was it not like super windy, rainy? It's very interesting. It was crazy, he said. Once Young got back inside, he realized the collapsed roof made it impossible for his daughter and grandchildren to get out of their apartment. So he punched a hole through the wall and pulled them into his downstairs apartment. What? Wow. That's incredible. I literally was punching on the wall and everything and breaking all the sheetrock. I had to hurry up and bring the kids in through all that. His daughter and grandchildren were physically okay, but the experience traumatized them. They spent the night together in the middle of the downstairs apartment without power. This morning, Young woke and started cleaning. He said he plans to fire up the grill and cook some of the food that will likely go bad soon for the people on George Street who are helping with the cleanup. All of the food, it's for the cleanup crews now. Me and my neighbors will grill it and feed everybody because what else can we do with it? Crazy. Yeah, I agree, Pookie. And the humidity is, like I said, this morning I went out just for a little bit and it was stagnant. It was just, and actually, let me look. I'm going to look real quick to see. Right. So right now we're at 78% humidity. This morning it was much higher. All right. So now we're going to get into videos just with the damage and just different views of what happened around New York. Again, where I'm at, we got severe storms, but nothing to the extent that they got in Western New York, and also in the Adirondacks. They also got hit pretty hard. Hey, Mr. Nobody, how are you?
Yes, Andrew, it is. And for more information, we are bringing in Mayor Roseanne Warner. Mayor, thank you for taking time to speak with us today. What can you tell us so far about the damage that happened on Barlow Street?
So about 3 o'clock, somewhere around 3 o'clock today, we did have what looked like a touchdown.
And again, this is in Canastota, which is, I'm just going to, my computer is going really slow. I think I have too many windows open. So if I go back to the map, great. Google Maps is not working. Okay. Here you have Rome, New York is where the red mark is. Canastota is here. And then you have Syracuse. So Canastota is about halfway between Rome and Syracuse. And again, Canastota is where an 82-year-old man lost his life. All right, give me one. I don't know what is going on with my computer.
Barlow Street in the village runs right along the railroad tracks. So we could see the funnel. We could see debris flying. It pretty much ice the village railroad street.
And one fatalities?
To my knowledge, there are no additional injuries, just the one who's down. But National Grid just left the scene. They have shut down all the power, and Onondaga Water's here shutting down water right now.
And I know the village is offering assistance. Could you tell us about that?
So if we have any residents that are looking for a place to go, we have set up a shelter at the school, the high school, as well as at the firehouse. The firehouse, the county is assisting us, so there's some food and shelter. They're bringing in cots for people because it looks like they're not going to be able to get it back into their house anytime too soon.
Okay, Mayor, thank you for your time. We're going to send it back to you, Jeff, in the studio, and we'll have more information about what happened here in Canastota at 11.
All right, and I just remembered, give me 1 second. I forgot I had sped it up when the governor was talking. So let me just turn. Yeah, I think my internet is acting up. All right.
At 4:30, the reported tornado touchdown. National Weather Service has to confirm that, but it sure looks like it might have happened just maybe a couple of hours ago. News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan joining us from Rome. Andrew, really unbelievable what you showed us at 4:30, and I know you had just gotten there. What more can you show us, tell us now? I know a state of emergency in effect there.
Well, Jeff, in the hour or so that I've been here now, it's only gotten worse in terms of what we've been able to find and see. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say in my 15 years or so covering severe weather damage in the Utica and Syracuse areas, this is probably the most widespread and most severe I've ever seen. We'll start with the building right behind me.
And the building behind him is the building that was in my thumbnail for this live. And again, just completely destroyed.
An iconic historic building in Rome. We're on Dominic Street. Those who know Rome know this is where the Paul Revere mural used to be. Families of Rome painted this, contributed to a beautiful piece of art many years ago to represent the historic nature of Rome. Most of that mural, because the wall it was on, has come down. The roof of that structure has come down. It is here, bricks, pieces of roof, on the street, on Dominic Street, on top of cars. You can see windshields and other windows smashed. People standing around waiting because they own those cars. They don't really know what to do next. Police are here taking reports for them so then they can move forward with the insurance process. But everyone I'm meeting is basically here waiting
to get some sort of help or leave the area. You can see sheriffs keeping the road closed. As we continue with photographer Bill Goldschmidt spinning around us, you can see this window of this business shattered, likely debris flown into it. This woman, likely an employee of the store, helping clean up that damage. As we continue to move left in a basically 360-degree direction, you can see businesses on this side of Dominic Street also damaged. I don't see any broken windows of the businesses, but the awnings are down, the furniture's everywhere. But you see the cars right in front of these businesses. Those also without back windshields. Again, probably suffering from bricks being thrown from that building across the street. You hear sirens in the air because very much this is still an active emergency. Fires have been reported, trees.
And I understand the media has to be there to report, but I also feel for the people who live in that area, who, you know, all these people who they could be, you know, onlookers just looking at the damage. But I mean, you can see, you know, police, ambulance, there's things going on. I don't know. I just feel like they should wait
down, live wires down, flooding to some extent, and just so much damage. Down the street, you can see fire crews are here, an ambulance, the Onondaga County Sheriff's Office, having most of these roads and intersections closed. We know that's a county building in the distance with county services usually taking place. That has been somewhat damaged, and so that is closed as county employees assess the damage there. Really damage everywhere you turn. So often severe weather damage is isolated in certain areas when Central New York falls victim. But this is widespread across the inner part of Rome to the lakes I've never seen personally. We aren't hearing any reports of injuries. Thank goodness. I haven't confirmed that with law enforcement. That's more me talking with witnesses.
And there were no confirmed fatalities in Rome during this tornado.
I was able to interview a man who actually was driving through Rome when this hit. So he had to take cover in his car, immediately parking in the middle of the road. Let's listen to what he told me a few minutes ago.
Lightning and everything, a lot of wind, and then debris was just hitting everywhere. I heard something bang in my car. I put it in park and got under the dash. And I didn't really see much after that.
We don't have a lot of time. Again, a look at this crushed car, crushed by brick from this historic Rome building on Dominic Street. Just a mess here that so many people are working to try to help clean up.
And I do want to look for that Paul Revere. So I'm going to go to Street View, because I've never seen the mural myself, and I'm just curious as to what it looks like. Oh my gosh, and I didn't realize. Okay, so here is, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. I hadn't realized based on let me just back up a little bit. I'll go back, but based on the way the photo was, so here, if I go back, this is actually the side of the building. It's hard to see. I thought it was the front of the building. Let me just go back to this part. So if we go to, this is where the reporter is standing right now. This is Dominic Street. And this is the mural. Oops, sorry about that. I wish I could get a better. Let me see if I go down the street a little bit. There we go. So that is what the side of the building looked like before all of those bricks came tumbling down. Hey, Lisa, thanks for being here. Cash, thanks for being here. So definitely, you know, something that can't be replaced. I mean, it can be repainted, but I think it would probably lose, you know, the significance and the meaning that it had.
Are crushed by brick from this historic Rome building on Dominic Street. just a mess here that so many people are working to try to help clean up little by little. This will take a lot of cleanup. I'm going to continue to scope out where other damage is. We know St. Mary's, the church steeple, has been blown off. We have to get there next. So, Jeff, coming up, we'll try to get there by the next time we join you so we can show you what that looks like.
Andrew, almost speechless. As you mentioned, I don't think I've ever seen damage quite like that, and I've been in this business much longer than you have.
All right, so here is another clip from, again, ABC 9, and it looks like he has moved to, I'm not sure where, but there's a whole lot of water in the road.
Well, Jeff, I've literally just arrived within the city of Rome after taking the thruway from Syracuse. And right away, you can see this pile of water here that people should not be driving through. You can see cars going right through it. I honestly haven't ventured beyond this parking lot because what we're seeing here is pretty devastating to begin with. Beyond this water, which we continue to look at, we're going to pan in the distance. You can see a building here where people that I've talked to.
This is before, this clip must be before he was on Dominic Street, because this is the building where that Paul Revere mural was painted.
Said this damage, this downed wall, partially a collapse, is because of what passed through here just a little while ago. Again, someone telling the National Weather Service they spotted a tornado, but the National Weather Service would have to come out and survey that. And as I have a photographer, Bill Goldschmidt, continue moving to his left, you can see the top of a building that I'm told was a church steeple. A steeple of, I believe, St. Mary's Church. You can see basically ripped off clean, at least from our perspective here. People saying that was because of the storm that passed through here within the last hour. To my left, down the street here a little bit, there's fire trucks and the Rome Police Department. All the traffic lights are dark, so I imagine that based on National Grid numbers, seeing what we're seeing those National Grid numbers in real life, that these traffic lights are dark, so police and fire crews are doing their best to move traffic along. But as we continue to look, I'm going to keep having the Bill, our photographer, move his camera left. You can see in this parking lot a huge chunk of metal that I imagine came off of a roof or another building. Another pile of water here. And then in the distance, another structure that again, based on eyewitnesses telling me this damage is because of the storm that happened in the last hour. So pretty widespread damage that
And I can see where, it could just be wind shear, but to me, that seems a little, and as we know, it was confirmed to be a tornado. The Weather Service just hasn't given the strength of the tornado.
I'm personally just seeing for myself that I know the police officers and firefighters are just getting to themselves. So in terms of a broad scope, I don't think we can put exactly into words how big it is. But from this one spot, I'm seeing significant damage, roofs on the ground, pieces of roofs.
What?
That steeple.
What in the world is that? Like a metal cabinet? Where the heck did that come from?
Of St. Mary's Church down, partial collapses of some buildings, ponding, puddling in the roadways. Again, if you are watching us and about to head out, I would avoid the city of Rome. I would certainly avoid any kind of ponding in the water because it's not safe to drive through, although we consistently...
I would agree, considering there could be... I don't see any power lines down where he's standing, but again, not really the smartest...
See people driving through it. In their defense, it's a moment of panic. They have to get through, but this is not a safe path to take. And so we see some National Grid trucks here. We see more ponding in the parking lot across the street. Let's look over here, Bill. We see some pretty good damage to these trees, which I know is something the National Weather Service looks at when determining whether or not a tornado hit. These trees, the way they're snapped, the way the tops are ripped off by wind, is usually a helpful indicator to meteorologists from the National Weather Service when they come to see if it was a tornado that hit. And I'm Jeff, I'm just listing things because I'm pointing them out as I see them. We arrived a few minutes ago and we're already seeing quite a big mess here.
Andrew, thank you very much for that quick work.
I don't know why they.
Well-
Oh, and here's Andrew again. So I didn't realize I had so many clips of Andrew, but I do. He definitely had, he got some really good footage based on the damage in Rome, and
Well, Jim, I know we have to wait for the National Weather Service to
hopefully
personally
they get
survey the
help
damage
soon.
before confirming a tornado, but boy, it looks like one blew through here not long ago. And this gives you a sample. This is the top of a traffic directional light,
pedestrian
the one
light.
that tells you walk or don't walk. It was just blown right off of the pole. And as photographer Bill Goldschmidt continues to move the camera, you see trees down, pieces of roof everywhere, tops of trees ripped off down streets. And that's one of the signatures that National Weather Service personnel will look for, are those snapped tree tops, which will help them determine if there was a tornado that indeed blew through. But remember, the Labor Day storm of central New York was not a tornado, so even straight line winds can do some damage. As we continue to look at this historic gas station, you can see just
Oh gosh, okay, so this is what I was wondering. I was trying to find it on Google Maps, but couldn't find it. So this is Sears Oil Company. So, oh my gosh, look at that gas pump. So just, an old gas station, like a memorabilia, nostalgia. It looked like it was and it doesn't look like it was damaged too much. When we had read that article and it said it was damaged, I was thinking, just completely destroyed. But based on this angle, it doesn't look, extremely damaged.
Station, you can see just messes of signs twisted around tree branches, metal from other roofs that honestly you can't even find the house it came from because of how far it blew. I can't see a house that has this matching roof, so I simply can't tell you where it came from. And as we continue to move toward this apartment building, Georgia Arms, you can see the entire residency full of people outside, because right now there's some damage to the building, but mainly a natural gas leak is being inspected before people are allowed back inside. They've been out here a long time. They were out here at around 5:30 when the skies opened up with fresh rain, so they're probably really anxious to get back inside their homes. You see Rome police directing traffic because the least of the worries, the power is out, and so traffic lights aren't operable right now. But again, there's that no travel advisory in effect. There's far too many people on the streets, in my opinion.
I was just going to say, if there's a no travel advisory, it appears, but again, in these people's defense, many of them were probably at work when this storm went through. Again, it was around 3:30 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. So they were probably trying to get home again. I don't know when his news, it was 6 o'clock. So again, they could have still been, they were stuck at work. They're just getting, able to leave to go home. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt. But I was actually going to say the same thing for having a no travel advisory. There's an awful lot of people traveling the roads
for that advisory to be in effect. So as you just look behind us, there's just messes everywhere.
Cash in Rome, no. So this is Rome, New York. Let me go back to Google Maps. I zoom out. So this is central New York. I would say central. And so you have Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo is the next bigger city at the, westernmost New York. And Rome, New York is here just west of Utica. And where is Canastota? Here's Canastota. So Canastota is where an 82-year-old man did lose his life from the storm. There were no injuries or fatalities reported in Rome, New York. Just a lot of damage. Beryl already went through, Cash. Beryl went through last actually this past weekend.
People already getting to work cleaning up as some people are just inspecting.
Cash, this was according to, and I don't think I have the article still up that I read. It was from a derecho that started in Ohio, which a derecho, which I didn't know, is a system of very strong winds. And actually, let me... Yes. So it is a large, fast-moving complex of thunderstorms with powerful straight-line winds that cause widespread destruction. And the heat and humidity in New York just fed into that storm system. Hey, Silent Angel, thanks for being here. Hey, Les. Oh my goodness, that's so sad. Let me go over to this screen so I can put your comment up. No injuries. My friend lives there. The city took one hell of a pounding. She had to climb out of her salon as trees blocked it. My gosh, I'm really happy she's okay. I have a friend out in Rome as well. She's not downtown. She's outside of downtown. Thankfully, she did get back to me this morning and said they didn't have any damage to their homes, but a lot of trees down, no power. She sent me a couple photos. The power lines are just completely mangled with trees. So that was good to hear. And then they didn't really give a lot of information about the Adirondacks, but near the Sacandaga Lake, they also got some pretty severe damage. And my aunt has a camp up there. So I got a hold of my aunt. She's good. They didn't have a lot of damage. So I just hope that everyone, they'll be able to get back where they were sooner than later.
The severity of the damage. Now, no injuries to report here. Unfortunately, there is that death in Canastota. That's where News Channel 9's Jeremy Skiba is. Jeremy, I know the damage is extensive there too.
Warren County.
Okay, for some reason, so they must, this newscast. So I had them in the wrong order, because when they went to Jeremy, I had actually played his clip prior where he had talked to the mayor of Canastota and had discussed the elderly man who sadly lost his life. So those clips were all from Western, so Utica, Syracuse news stations. This is from Albany. So this talks more about the damage that occurred my way. So Albany way. Crazy, Les. So are you in downtown, or are you in the surrounding area? I've actually never been to Rome. I've been to Utica several times, but I don't think I've ever gone to Rome. My friend who lives in Rome, we've always met halfway, or we've met, somewhere else.
County, one of the hardest hit areas in the aftermath of the storm. You can see some of the damage here. This is where CBS 6's Brianna Supardi is joining us live. She's been checking on the storm damage there. And Bree, tell us, how's it looking tonight? Just a mess there, I understand.
Yeah, an absolute mess. I mean, just check out this giant tree that's uprooted here. This is a scene we're seeing a lot of. And to uproot a tree this massive, that just tells you how powerful this storm was. And the damage here in Warren County, the southern tip of Warren County, really was widespread. Currently, right now, more than 7,000 people in Warren County are without power, including this neighborhood in Queensbury. Complete darkness here. We know a town over in Glen.
And Warren County, for those of you who aren't familiar with New York, is north of Albany. I would say probably about an hour north of Albany. I'm not going to show the map because unfortunately it shows the dot where I am, and I don't want that to be on screen. So it is north of Albany, though. It is north of Albany. Yeah, Cash, I mean, it's been really bad this year. I just feel like our winter was super mild. But this spring, summer, the storms are just a lot worse than I remember growing up.
Glens Falls, they issued a state of emergency. Back in this neighborhood, a lot of people spent the night cleaning up from the storm.
A ferocious storm creating mayhem for many residents across the capital region. Among some of the hardest hit areas was in Warren County, with winds in Glens Falls clocking in at a whopping 87 miles per hour.
Holy Nikes. Oh my gosh, I hadn't realized that. I thought the winds in Rome, they were just under 80 miles per hour. Here, Glens Falls, which again, Glens Falls in relation to Albany. Glens Falls is probably, probably an hour and 30 from Albany, north. Holy crap, 87 miles an hour.
Numerous roads closed, trees on houses, wires down everywhere. I know Johnsburg, we had a report of some cars trapped by power lines on a bridge.
Near John Clendon Road in Queensbury, residents in this neighborhood spent the night cleaning up after dozens of trees fell or snapped in half, some falling on homes, others on wires. Lehman, who lives in this neighborhood, described how the storm was quick but unforgiving.
Oh, I was watching actually channel 6, and they were saying, the meteorologist was saying, they were saying 512, 513 for Queensbury, and that's really right around the time it got really bad. And then for like 2 to 3 minutes, it was really bad. And it was a noise, like, they always say sounds like a freight train, but all around our neighborhood, as you can see here, it's in rough shape. It was really a storm like we haven't seen around here in a long, long time.
Multiple homes were damaged, yards littered with trees and branches. For hours, neighbors here came together to help one another clean up the mess.
When I pulled around the corner, the tree was down the line, and then I had to park, wait for the rain to settle down. I came back with the chainsaw and cut some of the branches. A lot of the trees were down on the road. All the neighbors came out. We've been cleaning up, but it was the hardest that I saw on the way home.
And we do have, some severe storms possibly forecasted for tomorrow, and that has a lot of people here concerned, which was why they were quick to work today and clean up. With a lot of people still without power in Warren County, officials are urging folks to be patient as crews work around the clock to restore power. Reporting live in Queensbury tonight, Brianna Supardi, CBS 6 News. Liz?
Storms triggering a state of
Okay. So let me just see.
Emergency as roads remain closed throughout the.
Okay, so we have one. I'm just going to show this one. I'm not going to show the last one, but this will be the last one just to kind of sum up everything. Yeah, mild winters for a few years. I remember the nor'easter in 2005. Yeah, we did actually. We got a big storm in March. And it came on a weekend though, so we didn't get a snow day for work, but that wasn't even a lot. It was close to 2 feet, but we're used to getting at least. I remember when I bought my house that winter, I mean, we had probably gotten, I don't even know how many storms, but the snow was like, pretty high.
The region, and thousands are starting their day in the dark. Right now, over 20,000 National Grid customers are without power in Oneida County. As the sun starts to rise, utility crews are working to get the lights back on. to give us a better idea of the damage left behind. Ryan Dean joins us live from Rome. Good morning, Ryan.
A very good morning to you, Rachel. It was very eerie coming into Rome this morning, how dark it was because of all those power outages. We are on West Dominic Street. Take a look at the rubble here. Just bricks on the ground. You can see the foundations of building. Basically, what they did, they had a street sweeper come in, and they've made big piles of all this rubble. There are several cars over here that have been hit. You have the back window here smashed out of this vehicle. And then take a look at this vehicle. I mean, crushed by the building that toppled over here on top of that car. It is remarkable. The county executive says that there were no serious...
And it almost shows you, too, the strength of the wind, because those bricks were on the side of the building, and they all blew forward onto those, especially this car.
Injuries here in Rome. Let me show you some more of the damage. Some very iconic buildings that were damaged here in the city of Rome, including the St. Mary's Church. The steeple actually gone from that church. And again, the building where I'm standing near with a palm.
Holy crap. Like the whole building was taken off. The roof, the wall, like this whole part of it was just...
The building where I'm standing near with the Paul Revere mural that crumbled onto cars. The wind's so strong, by the way. Griffith's historic B-52 bomber moved from its platform. And speaking of Griffiths, the airport actually opening up a shelter for people to stay overnight. The United County executive telling us they've never seen anything like this before in this community. And while people will be out later today picking up the pieces, he's urging everyone to use caution and give emergency crews space.
We want to see the power get back up in those areas as soon as possible. We're also encouraging people to stay away from wires. Anything on the ground is a live wire. Do not go near it. Please, for everyone's safety, for your safety, for your neighbor's safety, please let the crews deal with that.
Yeah, it is just incredible to see the amount of bricks here on the ground on West Dominic Street. He's calling it a tornado. Of course, the people who lived through this storm yesterday, they're calling it a tornado. But the National Weather Service, they will be the authority on actually declaring if...
And they did declare that a tornado did touch down in Rome, New York. However, they have not given the magnitude as of yet.
If it was indeed a tornado, they'll be out later this morning to survey the damage. We're also expecting another update from the county executive on where things stand this morning. But we know there's a shelter, obviously, for the people who have been impacted and can't stay in their home. So that is the very latest for now. Ryan Dean, News Channel 9.
Speaking of power out, let's...
No, stop it. Stop it. Okay. All right. So there we go. So definitely, you know, not seeing, we don't see tornadoes much here in New York, and especially Western New York. I don't think, I mean, but then again, with Hurricane Beryl, there were tornadoes out by Buffalo, and there was a lot of damage there. Thankfully, where I'm at, we got the storm, we got the wind, we got the rain, but there was no tornado where I am. Up north, I think it's possible that there may have been a tornado just based on some of the damage that I've seen posted on Facebook. And I was actually... There was something on Facebook that I wanted to show, but now I cannot find it, of course. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. So that's all I've got. But again, I just hope that the residents of Rome, New York and Canastota and anywhere else, Queensbury, Glens Falls, Warren County, they, you know, get the help they need. I know Governor Hochul had said For FEMA to come in, there had to be more than $37 million in damage. And I just think if they do estimations and say they do estimations and it comes in at $35 million, does that mean FEMA isn't going to help the people of those areas? It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, these people, some of these people lost everything. You know, they lost their homes. They lost their material things. Yes, they have their lives, but a lot of people need help. And I just hope that all of the people affected will be able to rebuild and, you know, have a life like they did before. So thanks everyone for being here. I do appreciate it. I will be live later. Today is Wordsy Wednesday. So I think I have it set for 6:30 Eastern. We will be playing Words on Stream. So I hope to see you then. But if not, I hope you all have a great rest of your night. And if I don't see you on these YouTube streets, I will see you on the flip side.